We'll go ahead and try this first exercise, the 10B exercise. Looks like this right here. So when I'm looking at this, I'm noticing this corner here is the biggest side, and this dimension all come from the left or right line instead of the left line. And also these dimensions are all on this side. So this really would be my 0, 0 origin. So what I would do is create the outside periphery with this hole, because if you look over here, this is a hidden line representing a hole that goes all the way through the part. And then there's a pad sticking up with a radius, and then this hole here going all the way through the part. So we'll go to CATIA and create a new part. We're going to rename this. Alright, so name your part, use the 4 X's for your student ID. Don't forget to put in your student name. Check to make sure your absolute axis is there. If it's not, you have to go back to your modules, and under infrastructure to CATIA, you have to set your preferences. Okay, on an update, your preferences get redone, so you have to redo your preferences. If you get on a new computer, you have to redo your preferences. So make sure your preferences are correct, so that when you come here, you have your absolute axis, you have a geometrical set that needs to be renamed to construction geometry. So I'm just gonna copy paste this. Make sure to hit the feature property tab where it says geometrical set. Make the part body the in-work object, and we'll create our sketch. So in this instance, whoops, I got my tree active. I'll move this bar over a little bit, and then click on a vertical line to make that tree active again, or inactive, so I can move this part around. Okay, this time I'm going to create a rectangle from this corner out, like so. So I'm going to do it in quadrant number 2. Again, this is 2 1/4 by 3. So what I could do is come over here and go into my tools palette, and I'm going to type in a width of minus 2.5 and 3. Gosh, is that the right size? Okay, it's 2 1/4. So I'll change that later. What I can do now is go to the corner command, select this line and this line, and up here in the tools palette it's asking for radius, so I just put your cursor where you want your radius. So I want it on this side, and then hit tab, and then type in the value you want. Oh, I forgot the value. I don't think ½ inch was it. 0.88. So you double click this and I change it to 0.88. And I'm going to tell you that number is wrong. What fraction is closest to 0.88? If you don't know, you can look it up here. Type in your Google search for fraction to decimal conversions. You'll get something like this. If I go to 7/8, you see where it says 7/8 is 0.875. That got rounded up to 0.88 because on the drawing, it's only a two-place call out. This is a two-place call out. Therefore, it can't be 0.88. There's no fraction 0.88. You don't have a 0.88 socket set. I promise you. I bet you, though, you have a 7/8 in there. So 7/8 is 0.875. Therefore, when I actually design the part, the physical part itself, we really want that to be 7/8. So I double click on that. And you could type in 7 divided by 8 and hit tab, and it will calculate that for you, 8750. Select OK. Now there's another circle somewhere over here. What I want to make sure of is when I create my circle, see how it's trying to link to that radius over there or over here. So you want to make sure when you click, it's not linking to anything. I'll just make a circle. Okay, and with it highlighted, I'll just go right to constraint and give it a size. And the size of that circle was not given, but it does say 0.44 typical. So when it says 44 typical, there's this one, and the only other one it could possibly be is this one. Okay? 0.44, that don't sound right. 0.44, what's closest to 0.44? 7/16. So that's 7/16, 4375. So when you see 0.44, that's because it had to round up because it can only show two places because the tolerance is plus or minus 30 thousandths. 0.030, not 0.030. Nobody says that though. Nobody says 30 thousandths. Nobody says 300ths. Everybody in production says that's 30 thou tolerance. Okay, which means 0.03 tolerance. So two-place dimension calls for 0.03 tolerance. If they had called off to 0.44 or 0.43750, that would be four-place dimension, and then your tolerance would be way, way tighter, as you learned earlier when we did our conversions from fractions to decimals. Okay, so again, that's 7/16, 4375. So 7 divided by 16 divided by 2, because I have to calculate for the radius. So I'm going to hit enter. Okay, and there's your radius. Now what I could have done, I'll double click on that, is switch this to a diameter callout, which would be best for all holes. They should be diameter callouts, and now you see it's 4375. I'm going to create another constraint from this base to this point. Make sure you get that point. Sometimes it's tricky to duplicate that. I'm going to try and click on that and delete it. I'm just trying to highlight it here and delete that thing. Geez, it would be better if I said undo. Let's try that constraint again. Try and get that point in the center of the circle. Don't grab the edge of the circle. Unfortunately, this radius thing is always in the way. We can't just grab the circle, unfortunately, because it's going to want to do a diameter call out. or if I grab the line, it's going to grab to the tangent edge and not to the center of the hole. So if I delete this out, see that point right there? That's what I'm trying to get to. So I'll highlight the point first and then go to constraint and then grab that line, and I'm able to dimension that. Okay, so again, I'm going to grab this point again. See how you can barely tell, but it's highlighted in blue. And I'll go to constraint and I'll constrain this line. Okay, and hit enter. Now I don't like how close that is, so I'm going to take this one here and move it down. And I don't like how close, I can't really read the numbers, so you got to pull it out. So I'm going to move this down a 1/2 inch off the part, and then this one should be 1/4 to 3/8 of an inch down. Okay, that comes from figure 9-1 in your print reading book, the spacing. Okay, this 0 should be about a 1/2 inch to the part. Okay, so I'm using the grid to kind of help me on that. This 2.5, the 2, should be about a 1/2 inch to the part. Okay, it didn't have to be exactly. All right, so I've got the dimensions located in the hole. I got this radius call out. I got the overall dimension. Why is it not green? Let's check this. We go to analysis and I select on this. I have a closed profile. That looks good. I have this closed profile. That's the circle. And I have this closed profile. That's the outside periphery. So why isn't it green? Let's check out this analysis here. It says it's under constrained. Why is it under constrained? Because I haven't established my datums. Where are my datums for this part? Let's open up our sketch. What I do is I go to the sketch tab and go to contact. If you can, double click it and then contact this line to this H. Contact already highlighted because I double clicked it, so I can just go immediately to the vertical line to the vertical axis. Okay. If I go to analysis, it still says under constrained. Why is it under constrained? It's highlighting this circle in blue saying, hey, I know where you put it, but what size is it? So I got to go back to sketch and then change this to constraint and then pick this circle. Click off of here. It is now green. So when I analyze the sketch, it now says it's a constrained profile. Okay. So when you guys are doing this part, I want to see both the profiles closed and constrained. Otherwise, I can't make it. All right. Now with that piece done, we can exit out of the sketch. I'll just double click the part body to get me out of here. And I will go right to the pad feature with the sketch already highlighted. I forgot to rename my datums. With this sketch already highlighted, I can key in the length. I just clicked off of it. So select on the sketch. This thickness is going to be 1.25 minus 0.63. I always reverse the direction. For my length, I can type in 1.25 minus 0.63. And I'll hit tab. 0.620. That looks like a weird number. It doesn't seem right to me. I'm going to double check this here. 0.63. 0.25 is a 1/4 inch. What fraction is 0.63? Well, I'm going to look this up. 0.63 is on the right side of the chart. It is 5/8. There is no 6/3 fraction because you don't have a 6/3 socket set. You don't have a 6/3 wrench. You have a 5/8 wrench. I know that. If you open your toolbox, you know you got a 5/8. That is 0.625. So I'll switch over here. That number should have been 1.25 minus 0.625. 1.25 minus parentheses again, I'm getting that from here. 625 is 5/8. Okay, so if you know your fractions, you can do 5 divided by 8. And what I want to do is sum that up. I didn't have to put the parentheses because multiplication and division happened first, but I'm just trying to illustrate you got to have 5/8 subtracted from 1 1/4. I'll hit preview. 625, that makes sense. It's 5/8 either direction. I'll say okay. Now, remember from the 12-step program I showed you how to do a position sketch. So what I would do next is create this pad right here that's 5/8 tall. So what we do is we go to position sketch. Select on this bottom line. And if it's not letting you get the edge, you have to turn this on so it knows you want to grab an edge. So I'm going to grab this edge here. Oh, I got to turn this on. So I grab this edge and I grab this edge and it puts an axis right there. I'll go ahead and leave the axis in that orientation and say okay. I'll go back to sketch and create a circle. I don't even know where it's at. I'm just going to put a circle here. And remember that trick where I go to constraints and I can constrain from that point to this line. Okay, and the height is 1 inch. So I could just change that to 1 inch right now. And then I'm going to put on another constraint. See, it's coming from this line because that's my datum, 1 inch as well. So I want to go from that point. Oh man, sometimes it's a real pain. I'm just going to cheat and select the point off of here, off the tree, because I'm having such a hard time grabbing it. And again, that will be 1 inch. When I go to the analysis window, it does say it's closed, but why does it say it's under constrained? Why is it under constrained here? Because we need to go to constrain and constrain the size of that circle, which is 0.44, no, 1.13. So I'll click here and type in 1.13 and analyze the sketch. It is now closed, or constrained profile. It's also closed, but it's a constrained profile now, which means everything's honky-dory. No. 1.13. What fraction is 1.13? 1.13 is going to be 1/8 of an inch. That's because of the roundup, 0.125. So it's 1/8 of an inch. So I'll just double click this to change it. 1 plus 1 divided by 8 and hit tab. There's 1.125. Select OK. Now I have the correct size of that circle. What I'm going to do with that circle is I'm going to go back to part design. I'm in sketch right now. If I double click part body, I got to get out of this here, close this off. While I'm here, Now the datum only goes on the first one here. So I'm going to go here, double click on this. It will switch me from one sketch to another. I switch from sketch 2 to sketch 1. And we're going to go to properties and name that datum A. And go to properties and name that datum B. I'm just using my up and down arrows to remember what it keyed in last. The reason why this circle is black is because it's not in this sketch. I'm in sketch 1 right now. If I double click sketch 2, I'm going to go into sketch 2, and you don't see anything on the other part because it's all in sketch 1. Okay, if I double click the part body, I can go back to the view and go back to the ISO view. Okay, what we're going to do is take sketch 2 and we're going to create a pad because it's right on that face. We'll create that pad. .625, and remember what I keyed in last, which is what I wanted because 0.63 is 0.625. Select OK. Now, from the 12-step program, do you remember creating concentric holes? If I select this hole, I can grab this edge and then this face, and it will just put a hole right in the center using concentricity. So 12-step program is where I covered that. Again, this is 0.44. Okay, so first off, I want to just go all the way up to last to go all the way through this thing. So that hole is going to shoot all the way through. What is the diameter? 0.44. Hit tab, and some of you are saying, nope, I ain't got no tool 0.44 in my socket set or my wrenches. 0.44 is 7/16. Okay, 4375. So for the diameter, I can simply type in 7 divided by 16 and hit tab or preview, and it will show me 4375 is the decimal. Select OK. All right, so there's your part, except for this edge is really sharp. And if you look on the drawing, they've got this fillet right here, and right up here. Okay, so I'm going to do refine and find fillets for edge fillet. I'm going to select on that, and I'm going to grab this edge, and I'm going to type in 0.12. And there's your 0.12 fillet, except for I know 0.12 is not the right fillet. In this case, I got 0.12 and 0.13. I know that is 1/8 of an inch. Again, if you go back to your chart, 1/8 of an inch is 0.125. So that's the only closest fraction that would make sense is the 1/8 of an inch. 0.12, 0.13, the closest one you got is 1/8 of an inch when you're using imperial standards. So back to here. If you ever want to change anything on CATIA, you can just double click it. I can double click this fillet and it comes all the way back up. I can type in 0.2, or you can open up this tree and double click this radius here and type in 1 divided by 8 and hit tab, 0.125, select OK. Now, what I like to do is change my shading. So you can see that fillet in there. Looking at the drawing, it looks like I got one more fillet on the top here. That means this edge right here is 1/8 of an inch. So that whole thing comes down to 1/8 of an inch like that. So let's go see what we can do about that. We will go to refine and find the edge fillet command. When I select this edge fillet, we're going to type in 1 divided by 8 and hit tab. you'll notice that it's going to stop because I'm on propagation tangent. This line is tangent to this curve is tangent to this line, but this line and this line are not tangent. This line and this line are not tangent, meaning they have a 90-degree angle to each other. They do not blend in nice and smooth. They're not coming together straight. So that's where it's going to put the fillet. 1/8 of an inch, select OK. And that's what your part looks like. If I go to view and hit the front view, that's what it looks straight on. And if I go back to the part, okay, you can't really see the fillet on this edge, but this is what it looks like right on the front. Okay, again, on the drawing, you don't see the fillet so well. That's why we got to call them off. Only on the side view would I see the fillet. Okay, so here's your side view. If I go like this, and I change this to the right side, because I'm looking over here on this right side, you see how that matches up? Here's your fillet, here's your pad. Okay, that's what that looks like over here. And then to see these hidden lines, you can change your shade mode to show hidden lines. You can see the hidden lines here. It's not doing a very good job of showing these hidden lines. The other thing you can do is go wireframe. Oh, my wireframe color is the same as my background, so that's not going to work for this example. Okay, let's go to shade with hidden lines again and pop into the ISO view. Okay, so now you can see better the hidden lines representing this hole and this hole. All right, don't forget, when you make your picture, I want to see a picture of this. Apply your material. You'll use aluminum. Create your measurements for length, width, and height. Make sure that you show this sketch expanded out and a picture of it. I double click the sketch, it takes me there, so I can see that you dimensioned it correctly. Okay, so make sure you have a picture of this with the analysis showing that it's closed. So a picture like that, and then an additional picture showing that it's constrained. Okay, and then double click the part body to get back out. I gotta turn off the sketch thing. Double click the part body to go back to part design. Again, make a picture with length, width, and height. So what I would do under model tools is measure item. Simply grab a line. Make sure you're getting a line. Select OK. Make sure to keep your measurements. Apply your aluminum. And then when you go to inertia, make sure you hit your part body. Not anything in here. You got to make sure you grab the part body so you get the correct mass, volume, and area. And there's your center of gravity. All right, hopefully you had fun building that part.